Alright, hey, welcome back to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Mike AO, Kevin Jank.
Hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Made
it. Why don't you tell the kids what you picked this week, Jank?
So going off of your pick from last week where we had a bunch of superheroes kind of, in the same book, teaming up. They do a little less teaming up in this one, but I picked the Fantastic Four versus the X-Men, issue number 2. It was a 4-issue limited series. This is the second part.
Yes. Now, had you ever read this previously?
Yes. This one was one that I always remembered seeing in, those ads like in comic books where we have all the lists of this comic book store in like Colorado has all these back issues.
Yes.
And they would show little pictures of them. Like, I remember seeing the covers of the first 2 issues of this and being like, oh my God, these look like the best issues ever. I need to read it. So I ended up getting the trade paperback from the library. And I remember reading it when I was a kid and, I loved it.
Yeah. This came out in 1987, so I was a young lad of 12 years old, and this was right at the peak of my X-Men love, probably. 86, 87, 88 was right when I was in the wheelhouse with the X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
And, I had this when it came out, and I enjoyed it quite a bit at the time. And, well, we'll save my thoughts on it as we go.
All right.
But this is written by...
Things have changed, but we'll see.
This is written by Chris Claremont, and it is drawn by John Bogdanove. Is that right? Bogdanove?
That's right.
Yeah.
Bogdanove?
Yeah, for some reason I could never pronounce his name as a kid, and I still can't 40 years later.
Yeah.
John Bogdanove. I don't know why. I just struggle with it. And that's the first time we've encountered him on this show. Of course, everyone knows Chris Claremont. We'll talk about John Bogdanove when maybe we're done with the book.
Okay.
It's Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. What more do you need?
It's light on the verses, I guess. This is probably the one that has the most versing. Something.
Yeah, I would say, because I went back and I read all of it like last night. Skimmed through it.
Mm-hmm.
But, so this Fantastic Four team, we have Reed Richards, the Thing, the Human Torch. Invisible Woman is like at home.
Yeah, she's on maternity leave.
Yeah, even though Franklin looks to be several years old.
Yeah. The age of Franklin Richards seems to vary quite a bit. And, the Richards kid seems to age very quickly. Like Valeria, their daughter that they had later on, I swear to God, she was talking by the age of like 1.
Yeah.
I guess I tried to explain it as like, oh, he's, Reed Richards is her dad, so she's very smart. But,
look, if you had to pinpoint Franklin Richards' age in this series rate, what would you put it at? Because he's with the Power Pack kids at this point in time.
Yeah. So he must be like, you'd think he's got to be at least 3 or so.
Yeah, I was thinking like 4.
Yeah.
5, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
He shows up in one panel driving a car. Like, what do you do now? But, what else was I going to say about this? Yeah, I guess at some point in this 4-issue, this is a 4-issue limited series. I don't know. I think you mentioned that, but.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, Sue Richards says she was thinking back to when her and Reed got married. She says, oh, that was ages ago. And in, real time, it was, 20 some years ago. But in like comic book time, it was like 7. So that's really not that long ago.
Yeah.
But
well, when you're married to Reed Richards, it feels like an eternity.
Yeah, the way the comic book time passes. But also, as a member of this Fantastic Four team, is She-Hulk.
Yeah. Filling in.
Yeah,
what you're going to do is get another strong person.
Well, yeah, you can never have too much muscle. Right there. Yeah, you can never have too much muscle.
Yeah.
This is actually her last appearance as a member of the Fantastic Four.
Oh.
Yeah, how about that?
Pretty unceremonious end.
She really doesn't do much in this.
Part of the whole thing.
Yeah, really doesn't do much of anything. But, so there it is. There's the Fantastic Four. Now, the X-Men in this here book, you got your, this is right after the Mutant Massacre.
Yeah. So a lot of people are sidelined at this point.
Yeah, like Colossus out of the picture, Nightcrawler's out of the picture, and the whole point of this story is that Kitty Pryde, she was injured by a harpoon of the Marauders.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Tried to phase through it, but the energy harpoon like caught her, and she couldn't unphase after that. And just kind of drifting away.
Yeah, like she's like a mist kind of, and her body's just drifting further and further apart.
Yeah.
And so they bring her to Reed Richards because he's a big brain, and they're like, hey, you could probably fix her somehow, with your big brain there. And this X-Men team, we got Storm. This is Mohawk Storm. She doesn't have her powers. She lost her powers. We got Wolverine. We got who else is here? Magneto.
Yeah, leading the team and the whole Xavier school at this point.
Yeah, he's leading the Xavier school, right? But
I guess Storm is the field leader, but he's the Professor X currently. Yes. Just tells people what to do ultimately.
Yeah, because where was Professor X was up in space, right?
Yeah, he had a heart attack, and Lilandra took him to like go fix his body. He's like, I'll cure you with my sweet, sweet lovin'. And I think she ended up growing him a new body again, which he.
Oh, that's nice.
So then I think he also got crippled in that body as well, though.
Oh, no, did he slip down the stairs or something? Like, how did that happen?
I think the Shadow King did it.
Oh, that creep. Shadow King.
Yeah.
All right, the other X-Men here, Rogue.
Yeah.
Psylocke.
Looking a little bit better. Still not great yet, but looking slightly better.
I like this costume because on the last LCS show we were talking about superhero costumes and stuff, and I think I like this outfit, the green pullover, the green gloves, and the black pants or whatever.
Yeah, it's at least starting to round into something decent.
Psylocke is here, and this is British Psylocke.
Yeah.
Where she's, I liked her as British because Betsy Braddock, that's who I think of Psylocke. And this is when she was still the whole butterfly thing, whenever she's talked, like the image of the butterfly wings and everything. And she's wearing that pink frilly outfit or whatever. The outfit was pretty lame, I'll give you that.
Yeah, the outfit's not great. It could use some work. It's just kind of like some weird, I don't know, Princess Jasmine type outfit or something.
Yeah. Now, we also have like, I think those were the main core, but because the X-Men were so wounded, they had to bring up some reserves from the minors, some call-ups from NXT. They had to bring them up. And we have Dazzler.
Mm-hmm. Long-time solo book, Dazzler, finally joining the X-Men.
That's right. We did a Dazzler. You were with me and Micah when we did Dazzler here.
Sure was. Yep.
Long Shot is here.
Yeah, we also did that.
That's right. That was another one of your picks.
Yeah.
And Havoc, Cyclops' brother.
Yeah.
This is when he gives
who they depict as having brown hair in this book, which I don't remember that ever being a thing.
They also depict him wearing pants from the 1940s. Bogdanov, every guy he draws in here has pants from the 1940s. They're very baggy and pulled up to like the bottom of the pecs. But it's all right. What can you do? Who else is here for the X-Men? I guess this here issue takes place on Muir Island.
Yeah.
We got Maura McTaggart here as well.
When they tried to make her a mutant. Just good old
Yeah, this is when she was good, Maura McTaggart. Have we missed anyone else? Is that everybody?
I think you got them all, except for the big surprise, villain that pops up here. But
yeah. We'll get into him.
We'll get to that.
Well, he's right on the cover, so it's not really a surprise.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the cover here. All right. It's, Dr. Doom shows up,
Yeah. You gotta have Dr. Doom if you're doing a Fantastic Four story. Come on.
Yeah, of course. All right. So is there anything else we need to say to set the stage here? Or why don't you tell the kids what the basic premise of this limited series is?
Yeah. So the premise is, the X-Men have been beaten to shit during the mutant massacre and Shadowcat's fading away. So they got to find someone to help her. So they contact the Fantastic Four and try to get Reed Richards to do it. But as we find out at the beginning of this issue, he's a little bit reluctant to do so.
Yes.
But we'll cover that.
Yeah. Now, I kind of went back to issue 1 and read a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Have we established why he's so reluctant to? In issue 1, there's a diary. There's a journal.
Yes. We don't know in issue 1 exactly what's in it yet, but clearly it's causing some strife between him and the wife. The wife is not happy with him, so it's kind of got his confidence shaken.
Yeah. And so he shows up to Moore Island with some particle regenerator or something, some big machine that he thinks can fix Kitty Pryde. But they get there, and then he says, "You know what? No, I can't do it. I can't do it."
Which, why even go all that way? It's not like they came to your house. You came to their house with the machine, and then you're just like, nope, I'm going home.
Jerk. This Reed Richards guy, he's a jerk. Also, in issue 1, Little Franklin Richards, he has a dream. I think this is how the whole series opens.
Yeah.
We should also mention when Little Franklin Richards, when he sleeps, he can like astral project, and his body goes other places and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he has a dream, a prophetic dream, that this journal of Reed Richards is in his dream, and I guess he sees that when it's opened, it will destroy the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And he sees the X-Men in his dream, and he sees them all dead, and I think he sees Doctor Doom in his dream too. Doesn't he see like Reed and Doctor Doom becoming one or something?
Yeah, it's definitely the cover of the first issue is, like you see Susan Storm laying there dead, Franklin's crying, and like Doctor Doom is standing over them, but it's got, his mask is off, and it's, Reed Richards under there. And Wolverine's like, I'm gonna get you, sucker.
This is a 4-issue limited series, and I believe at least 3 of the 4 covers, Sue Richards is dead on the cover, right? She just
yeah. Which is a complete lie. These covers are full of lies, making the book seem way more epic than it was, but
I can't remember what the cover was even for the 4th one. Can you describe it for me?
I think it's let me see. It's nothing.
Oh, it's Franklin. It's Franklin raising up like he's all powerful, and he's like Doom is cowering in front of Franklin. That's right.
Yeah, that also doesn't happen. They're just selling you a false bill of goods everywhere you look.
All right, so at the end of issue 1, there's also a little subplot going on because wasn't She-Hulk She-Hulk runs into the Thing at the library. The Thing has got to pass his aviation tests again. He's got to be recertified as a pilot. So, and this is pre-internet, so you actually had to go to libraries and stuff. So he went to the library to study some aviation books, but he's smoking a cigar. What a jerk he is too. This whole Fantastic Four team, a bunch of jerks. Yeah. And She-Hulk smells the cigar, and she comes around and says, "Hey, can you put that cigar?" Oh, it's her old buddy, the Thing. So they start talking. And she's boning up on some court cases because she wants, I think she said she might defend Magneto, right? Isn't that what was going on?
Wait a minute. The trial already happened a while ago, though. That was X-Men 200. This was after the Mutant Massacre, which was like.
But at some point, they come up with Magneto and whether she would defend him. And she says, yeah, I'd defend him. And she's, oh, you probably get him. So they start arguing over him. So that's another underlying little subplot here that no one trusts Magneto.
Yeah. That is true. That's why X Factor formed. The original X-Men were like, fuck this, we're not working with Magneto.
Yeah.
We'll go start this stupid organization that pretends to hunt down mutants while stirring up anti-mutant controversy.
So this X-Men team is very much like, even more outsider than they always were. They're kind of like even more of an outcast group. So, alright. And at the end of issue 1, Reed Richards shows up and says, yeah, I'm not going to help Kitty Pryde. And Wolverine jumps and attacks him at the end of it.
Which is fair. Again, even if you're not sure you can do it, you're their only hope, so you might as well try.
And he elbows at the end of issue 1. Wolverine elbows Johnny Storm in the belly when he's in Human Torch form. Now he's Wolverine, so he'd heal quickly, but wouldn't that just murder his arm for elbowing Human Torch?
Yeah, he could end up like Storm if he didn't have that healing factor.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Storm.
Yeah.
So that's where issue 1 ends. Now we open up, before we get to the actual splash page, I guess, describe the cover for everybody.
So we got it's a number 2 in a 4-issue limited series. And we got Fantastic Four versus the X-Men. Nice little corner box. You can tell those X-Men are definitely John Romita Jr. drawn. They're very square. Yeah. I like it.
$1.50. Holy hell. $1.50.
Yeah, this was a special one.
I was going to say, was that the normal price back then, or?
I guess limited series, they probably cranked it up. Especially if you're getting 2 teams for the price of one, we gotta charge you extra. It's like a blue background and there's some rocks and, Sue Storm's laying there dead. So is Mr. Fantastic. He's got his guts all ripped out. And, Franklin Richards is crying over their bodies and Wolverine's standing atop of him saying, your mother's been avenged, okay, kid? Meanwhile, Dr. Doom is kind of in shadows in the background just laughing.
Yeah, he's the puppet master behind them.
Yeah.
And,
none of which happens because, Wolverine is fighting Mr. Fantastic, but it has nothing to do with Sue Storm.
Well, it kind of does because, she's not there, but he's avenging her because Reed did her dirty, in theory.
Yeah, but he does not know about that and
Yeah.
probably would not care because he's just trying to get Shadowcat to live.
Yeah, it's a symbolic cover. It's a symbolic cover.
Yeah.
I was trying to think,
It's a great cover.
Which do you prefer? Do you prefer like a literal cover or something more symbolic and representative of a story? So I'm trying to think of what would be a more literal cover we've done recently. I was thinking Mr. Fish and Luke Cage, but no. They were fighting on top of a building on that. Well, I guess they were, right?
Yeah. That Shaun of the She-Devil one was pretty...
Yeah, the rhino. She was riding the rhino. Yeah.
That was literally the first 2 pages, but yeah, at least it happened.
Yeah.
I guess I tend to like some of the more abstract ones. Or even I like a good cover where it's just a big shot of one of the characters. It's this villain. And it's a big profile shot of him.
Yeah, this is a nice cover. I would have taken another swing at Wolverine's upper body, but, and his arms maybe, but they're a little long, but whatever. It's a kid's dream, theoretically.
Yeah. So, he likes men with long arms, like his daddy.
So there you go. Now we opened up. Great splash page here.
Yeah. Good start.
Yeah, we get some narration. His name is Wolverine, and he is not someone to have as your enemy, as Reed Richards, leader of the Fantastic Four, is now discovering. And it's just a big shot of Reed Richards' head is bottom left, Wolverine's face top right, and he's got his claws on either side of his head there. And he's like, hey, Reed Richards, you came here to save Shadowcat, Richards. Now do it, or I'll send you home in a box.
Yeah.
That's Wolverine.
Get the title, Truths and Consequences.
Yeah. Terry Austin is the inker. Glynis Oliver is the colors. Tom Orzechowski is the letter. And our beloved Ann Nesenti is one of the editors with Don Daly. And, of course, Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
All right, so Wolverine has Reed Richards pinned up against, their little Fantastic Four jet or whatever, and he's, threatening to murder him. And Reed's stretching all around him, trying to hold him off. But, Reed Richards, he's an old man. He can't, keep Wolverine off of him. So, and the X-Men are jumping into that, Storm saying, hey, hold up, Wolverine, hold on. And Johnny Storm is there. He got elbowed in the belly, so he's on his hands and knees. He's off for the count there. And Magneto is like, hey, I can just steal their little machine there. We don't need Reed Richards. We'll figure it out. And Things says, hey, not so fast. And he does the old clap maneuver where he just slams his hands together. And it actually just says slam with 2 M's to let you know how impactful it is. And it knocks Magneto loopy, but Storm also gets knocked over, but she lands close to Wolverine, so she's able to grab his arm, kind of prevent him from cutting Reed Richards. Now this brings up an interesting question. I meant to do more research before the show, but I took a nap instead, and that's the way that goes.
Time well spent.
Could Wolverine, because we see later he kicks Reed Richards in the face, and Reed Richards actually bruises on his face.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was possible. Could Wolverine cut through Reed Richards' elastic skin?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Adamantium can cut through anything.
But couldn't it just reform then? Or no?
That's a good question. I don't know if he's silly putty or what.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't think he could bruise either, because I just thought, well.
There's a lot of questions in Mr. Fantastic. If he stretches to get under a door, what happens to all of his organs? They all just stretch out?
And clearly what everyone's thinking, all right, just grow up already, but everyone's just thinking it. That's why Sue doesn't leave Reed Richards, because something can grow. All right, we get it. but you think he would be bruised beyond. I don't know. I thought his skin would just like.
Yeah, he could just. You think maybe I don't know. Maybe he's just leaving it there as a mark of shame. Like he could get rid of it, but he feels like he's earned it.
Yeah, so I guess theoretically, if Wolverine like cuts his arm off, his arm would just be on the ground then, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, does Reed Richards bleed?
That's a good question.
we had the same.
He would have to, but I don't know.
Because we learned in the past, Mike L and I was shocked to learn this, but like Wolverine at some point later on, years later, cuts the Thing's face.
Yeah. And he starts wearing like a helmet to cover it up.
And so the Thing is actually just orange rocks over top of like a fleshy, pulpy body.
Yeah.
Where I thought he was just solid rock.
Oh, yeah, that'd be better.
Yeah, I don't know.
That'd be a lot stronger for sure.
A lot of questions about this Fantastic Four team.
Yeah.
A lot of questions.
I mean, how does Johnny Storm ever carry anyone without burning the shit out of them?
Yes. I've talked about this before. Well, let's get to it here because Storm grabs Wolverine's arm, and then Johnny Storm's coming to. He's coming to his senses there, and he sees Wolverine trying to kill Reed Richards, and he says, "Hey, flame on! I'll just singe his whiskers there. I'll just zap him." But he's still a little loopy, and he actually burns Storm's left arm with his flame there, and Storm suffers a severe burn on her arm.
Mm-hmm.
And like Human Torch's powers always creep me out as a kid, and even now as a grown adult, somewhat of a man, because it's like just the slightest little touch, he could ruin someone's life. Just like. Like you're just
scary.
You're just scarred, mutilated for the rest of your life. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Johnny Storm. Appreciate it, buddy.
Worse than just killing them. Like,
yeah,
fucked up the rest of their life.
So,
I like that he's like getting off the ground and being all groggy, like, oh, my head. He got elbowed in the belly. Walk it off.
He's kind of soft. This Johnny Storm. He's 10-ply. So, all right. So, Storm is hit by Johnny Storm, and he's like, oh no. And, I like that panel of his face. And then Rogue comes flying in out of, somewhere, I guess the research lab there on Moore Island. And she grabs up Thing and she kisses him, cause she's going to absorb, the Thing's powers there. And, she slowly starts to turn into, the Thing, and then he kind of like morphs out of. He doesn't go all the way to Ben Grimm, but he, whatever. He softens up, and well, almost like he was put in water, and he like melted a little bit or something. That might be the best way to describe this. But when she kisses the Thing, she not only absorbs his powers, she also absorbs his memories and his psyche and everything. And she's like very sad now, and she's crying.
Yeah, I like this. Where she's like, good. She thought she'd be attacking a toad. Instead, she's touched the soul of a prince. So poetic.
Yes. But I like that. I always like when Rogue, she always like with the fellas, she'll kiss them right in the mouth.
Yeah.
Give them a little treat before she takes them down.
You ever kiss the ladies? Like, I wonder.
I can't remember. I'm sure nowadays she does all the time. But yeah. I can't, back then, I don't think I remember her kissing a lady.
Yeah. No. I guess there only would have been Mystique pretty much, and she's not going to kiss her mom like that.
So then Psylocke shows up, and she wrecks Johnny Storm again, takes over his mind, knocks him out. And she's trying to calm down Wolverine. She-Hulk grabs Wolverine, and she's like trying to hold him back, She's like, hey, she doesn't want to hurt him. But I don't know. She couldn't really hurt him, right? His bones are adamantium. She couldn't really do it.
Yeah, he'll heal.
Yeah. But then we get the shot of him kicking Reed Richards in the face. Boom. I
like this because like there's so many people trying to hold back Wolverine and it's just not working out.
Yeah, he's just a little ball of muscle and hate.
Yeah.
And he kicks Reed. Look at Reed. He's bruising immediately when he gets kicked in the face. And then we see Reed
like
Richards.
A cartoon character, the way his mouth, like the skin off his mouth is just like so extended.
And we see Franklin Richards. He snuck aboard the Fantastic Four jet there in his astral form, and he trips coming out of the ship, and he actually falls out of bed now back in New York City with his mama. And he starts crying on the floor. Sue Storm comes in, or Richards, And she grabs up Franklin and she says, "Hey, what's wrong?" He goes, "I just had a bad dream, Mommy." Well, it's not a dream. He says, "I was there. I saw it. I was there." And yeah, Daddy and Wolverine are fighting and they're getting all mad and everything. Everybody's mad. And she calms them down.
I like that part.
Mr. Magneto. And she says, "Hey, don't worry. Daddy's on the other side of the ocean, honey, but don't you worry. Everything will be all right. I'll call, make sure everything's fine." And she gets him back to sleep. But then what does she do, Jack?
Oh, she gets out the journal and she's thinking about it and she's just like, "Oh, I wish I would have never opened that book." She tosses it away and then it gets so mad that she just blows her clothes right out.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, she's very angry. So she like forces out all her invisibility powers to make like a little ball of invisibleness around her.
Visible force field that just blows her clothes off.
I had no idea this was possible. This was another one of them deals.
Especially with unstable molecules in those costumes. Yeah. Like, you think that'd be a little bit resistant to that, but nope.
Now, of course, it's in shadow, so we just see her one leg, thigh, but all the important bits and pieces are covered in shadow. But
I'll tell you, when I was a kid, just that much was pretty good.
The imagination field and the rest.
Yep.
But yeah, she just blew her clothes right off. All right, so now we get back to Moore Island.
Namor showed up with a six-pack.
Yeah, but he can't grow. But anyway. So cutting back to Moore Island, and now we see Dazzler, Longshot, and Havoc. Now in issue 1, they rescued a fisherman.
Yeah.
A fisherman, they found out in the waters there near the island, and he was shipwrecked or whatever, so they rescued him. So Longshot's toweling off, and he's wearing those same pants you wear when you ride horses in India. Whenever.
Yes. Like capris.
We've discussed these pants before. I can't remember what they're called. I want to say something like jump piers or something like that, but it's for pants made for horseback riding. And then, of course, Havoc is dressed, like I said, a 1940s college pledge guy going out for a fraternity.
Yeah, like something on Animal House.
And he's got a nice little sweater.
I guess they probably would have worn that in the early X-Men days. Like maybe that's his old X-Men clothes from, the 1960s era.
Because he's got his little shirt there that says Xavier School on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a little V-neck sweater kind of deal. And, of course, Dazzler is very un-Dazzler-like here. Like, I didn't even, would you recognize Dazzler if someone just showed you that picture of her? Like, I don't know.
No, her hair also is pretty brown, which is, I've never seen Dazzler with brown hair.
Yeah, she's like in sweatpants and a shirt. So, all right. But, so they run off.
They're not in uniform, so, I guess it makes sense.
So, they see the fight going on out by the plane there. So they take off, there's their big chance to show that they're worthy X-Men. So they go running off. And here that fisherman guy, he's buck naked.
That's right. They couldn't find him any 1940s pants to wear.
There's a lot of naked people in this book. And this fisherman stands out of the hospital bed, but he's not a fisherman, Jank. He's a filthy robot.
Yep, that's right. He's got can opener arms.
Yeah. And of course, his Linus and Charlie Browns are in shadow too. But
covered by a pillow.
He's turning into a robot, and then some other lady. I don't know who this lady is. Are you familiar with this lady, Sharon? Somebody?
No, I don't remember her sticking around too much. She's kind of like a lab assistant.
Yeah, she's supposedly one of their head nurses or something. I don't know, whatever. At Moore Island. All right, so she sees the robot, and although I got to be honest, this Sharon, she really didn't do anything.
No.
Like
she comes to tell them that that was a robot, like way after they already realized it.
Like this robot somehow manages to run faster than Sharon. Because she has a big head start on this robot.
Well, he is a robot, so that makes sense. But
I guess, I don't know.
maybe don't even bother. Just pretend he hit you in the head or something. Like, I was knocked unconscious by the robot.
It almost makes, I don't know, I hate to disparage Sharon here, but it seems like Sharon said, I don't know what the fuck's going on, so she went and hid somewhere. And then when she found out it was safe, she went running out to say, hey, there's a robot. Oh, you guys, okay, you already know? All right. she didn't want to really stick her neck out there, you know? She wanted to play it safe, see how things turned out, and then I tried to warn you, Dr. McTaggart. I tried, but, you know.
She's there as an unpaid intern. Like, she's not going to put her balls out there for this.
So we get back, and Maura McTaggart shows up, and she finally calms down Wolverine. She's like, hey, you quit killing Reed Richards here.
Yeah. You want to get him, you'll have to go through me first.
Yeah, then Storm really, you know, puts a pin in it, because she's and me, she says, and her arm's already bandaged. This Maura McTaggart is a wizard with the bandages, because she just shows up and bang, the bandages are all over Storm's arm.
Way quicker than Sharon.
So Wolverine sees his good buddy Storm there, and he's like, all right. So he, you know, pops his claws back in, and the Fantastic Four are getting back together. Look at Reed Richards; he's still all elongated and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And She-Hulk's getting him together, and he's like, hey, you know, Reed Richards, I will beg if I must, Dr. Richards. Only you can save Shadowcat. Believe me, Storm. If I could help, I would. Yeah. Why the hell did you come here with that big machine?
Right.
Just it's like he's just rubbing it in their faces. Like, here's the machine that could save her. Nope, can't use it.
Sucks to suck. Kick sand in their faces.
So
yeah, he's not even gonna leave the machine so like Maura McTaggart could figure it out or something. Like,
yeah, it's like nope,
nothing. Just I'm taking the machine with me. Don't call me again.
Not gonna do it. So then we see Rogue. She's still all thinged up, and you know she busted out of her clothes too. You know, pretty much. But she says, "Hey, who cares,
this guy? I could fucking kiss him and get all of his memories, or Psylocke could figure it out from his brain. He can go in there and get all the information. We don't need him to cooperate.
Yeah, we don't need this Reed Richards." But Storm, being the moral leader that she is, says, "No, Rogue. Every fiber of my being cries out to take what we require, which is why we must not. It would cost the life of one we cherish." And Reed Richards says, "I'm sorry, Storm." And she says, "That is cold comfort." So the other X-Men show up, but Fantastic Four, you know, they're out on their way out, and they basically just said, "Hey, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Get the fuck out of here, Reed Richards." You know.
Yeah.
But before they leave, the robot, the fisherman shows up, and he's now full robot, Jank. And then what happens?
He starts projecting some light rays that make a hologram of Dr. Doom.
That's right. Hey, what is Dr. Doom?
Apparently. And he says, yeah, my apologies for the uninvited intrusion and for the deception practiced upon you by my scan bot.
Scan bot?
So he basically is like, yeah, I've heard of what happened with you and the Marauders, and I'm here to help. And they're like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like Dr. Doom. Yeah. There's probably going to be a price. And he's like, no price at all. I'm just looking to help.
Just me, good old Dr. Doom, just trying to help out. No worries.
Like I do. My reasons are my own, little man.
But I like when he said he looked into the Marauders because he just wanted to see if it could affect him in any way.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, it's all right. No, it doesn't affect me.
Oh, they don't care. They only care about mutants. I'm cool.
But Doom, the implication here is he wants to show where he can succeed where Reed failed. You know, it's a chance for him to show up Reed Richards. Mm-hmm. And he just wants to rub it in. He's like, I'll save Shadowcat. No problem. And Reed Richards, the nerve of this guy, you know, instead of just saying, you know what? All right, Dr. Doom, you have your shot. See if you can do it. He's like, no, you can't do it either, Doom. Don't listen to Doom. He's the devil. You can't make a deal with the devil. And Storm's like, hey, we wanted to make a deal with you.
Yeah. You tried the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this Reed Richards guy, he's like, no, I'm not going to do it, but you can't let him do it either. You know?
Yeah. Just, you guys got to let that teenager die. Just had a good run.
This guy's horrible. Reed Richards. So Maura McTaggart says, hey, Reed, if you're not off this island in like 5 minutes, I'm calling the cops and I'm going to arrest you for trespassing because, you know, this is my island. So, the Fantastic Four finally leave and Doom says, hey, X-Men, you think it over. You know where to find me. Just go in the yellow pages. Look up Dr. Doom. And
Yep.
so once the Fantastic Four leave, Storm collapses because
She was kind of bluffing her way through those last couple of minutes. Apparently, she's going into shock, big time.
yeah. Now this is an issue I had with one of the minor issues I had with this issue. This panel where she collapses, she passes out. Then we have Wolverine. Wolverine and Moira McTaggart are holding Storm up, and then Wolverine says, "Storm, she's going into shock. We got to get her to Moira's surgery room." He's right there with Moira McTaggart. He's looking at her, yet he still calls her Moira. Don't you think he would just say, "Hey, we got to get her to the surgery room"? I think it would probably be better if you just have him say, "Storm, she's going into shock," and then you have Magneto. He says, "I'll reconfigure Doom's mechanoid into a conveyance to carry her there." You just have Magneto say, "I'll make this into so we can carry her to the surgery room." You know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that seems like a minor quibble, but I can see your point.
Yeah. As an editor. Yeah, because I mean, he's looking at Moira, so he's not going to say, "Hey, we got to get her to Moira's." No, I'm Moira. Hey, Wolverine, I'm Moira. You don't have to address me like that. But anyway, so they take Storm to the surgery room, and here's Sharon. Oh, here's that Sharon. She finally shows up. Moira, the fisherman. Yeah, we know Sharon. He's a robot. Don't worry about it. So they take Storm in, and right, the first thing Moira McTaggart does when Storm's on the table, rips her shirt off because she's got to see that. She's got to see her boobs. Just take that shirt off.
Yeah, when you're burned on the arm, you got to see the boobs first. Make sure they're okay.
No, we don't see the boobs, but Moira gets a pretty good look at them because she just yanks that thing right off.
So does Magneto. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm still helping."
That's right. Eyes up here, Magnus. Eyes up here. And Kitty Pryde is in the back. They keep her in like this giant test tube in some sort of stasis chamber.
Yeah, trying to keep her from disincorporating completely.
And Rogue's starting to turn back into Rogue again. She's forming out there. But Shadowcat, she's seeing all this, and she's thinking, Storm's hurt, and I saw Doom make his offer on the security monitors. I want to live, but not if it costs the X-Men their souls. Maybe it's time I took the decision out of their hands. Oh, no.
Looking bleak.
Yeah, poor Shadowcat.
Reed Richards.
All right, Jank. So now we're back at Fantastic Four. They're the Baxter Building. That's what that's called, the Baxter Building. So why don't you take it from here? Tell us what goes on here.
So Reed Richards is kind of having a moment. He's like, "Oh man, I'm an idiot. Like, what am I doing? Like, I've screwed all this up. Theoretically, this reintegrator is what we needed, but I couldn't do it. And my instincts are gone, and it made me hesitate." And Thing shows up, just kind of grabs him by the scruff of the neck there, and throws him into a wall.
Yeah. Like silly putty against the wall. Bang. Yeah. See if it sticks.
He just kind of crumples, and it's pretty great looking. He's like, hey, Stretcho, I got this book of yours. I found your journal. Sue gave it to me, and now I want the truth. And he goes and pulls him into a room where the other members of Fantastic Four are all there, even though there are technically 5 of them now, but still, they're all there. And they're like, "All right, Reed, you gotta spill everything right now." And he's like, "Okay, read from the book. Tell us everything that that happened, and what your journal here says." And so he starts reading, and it starts off. He's talking about like mutants.
Well, look at Reed's face too, by the way, because he got Wolverine kicked him on like the left side of his face, and then Thing threw him right side face into the wall. So his face is a mess.
Yeah. Both eyes are like pink. Yeah, it's bad.
That's a great shot of Sue Storm there in the middle at the bottom there. I don't know, right when he opens up the journal. Yeah. All right, yeah. So he's reading the journal, and what does he say?
Although not a geneticist myself, my readings of the work of Charles Xavier convince me of the fundamental soundness of his theories that the human race is fast approaching an evolutionary watershed, akin to the historical transition from Neanderthal to Cro-Magnon. He's talking about like, oh yeah, we recently contacted or, met up with that Gormu, extraterrestrial intelligence thing. So there might be more things like that out there. So that's something we should probably worry about.
Which is basically the whole premise of the first Avengers movie too, right? They said, hey, we got these aliens. We need to put the Avengers together. So it's kind of the same thing going on here.
Pretty much. Yeah. He's like, who's going to defend the Earth from these type of threats?
And so then we cut back to Wolverine. He's going nuts on some rocks on Moore Island because he can't cut up Reed Richards, so he's going to cut up some rocks. And Rogue is meditating. When did Rogue ever meditate? Did you ever encounter this before?
No. She must have just adopted it, once and was like, nope, not for me.
Yeah, that seemed out of character.
I don't remember her being very zen-like. No, she was a bit of a hothead too.
So then we cut inside the more McTaggart's headquarters there.
Yeah.
And all the X-Men are hashing it out whether they should go with Dr. Doom. And Dazzler wants none of this.
She's the one kind of dissenting vote. Because, she definitely, I remember there were issues of her series where she bought Dr. Doom. So she's like, nope, don't do it.
I mean, the X-Men have fought Doom in the past, too, as well, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like in the 150s, maybe? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, but they just don't care. They're like, we're not letting Kitty Pryde die, so we have to do this.
Now, I like this section of the book because we see one panel of the X-Men debating things about whether they can trust Doom or whether it's right to go to Doom. And then we cut to the Fantastic Four again, and they're all like yelling at Reed and saying, hey, Reed, just keep reading the book there, Reed, Shut up and keep reading the book. And so he keeps reading Jank, and now what does he tell him?
So he starts talking about the rocket ship that, took them into space. He's like, all right, is it a blessing or a curse, I wonder, having not merely a superior intellect and insatiable curiosity, but the wherewithal to make even my wildest dreams reality? I have devoted my life and almost the entire fortune bequeathed to me by my father to an experimental rocket project, so that mankind may meet any other starfaring race not on the surface of our home world, but in the neutral territory of space. But then the government gets involved, and they're like, hey, we got to do some testing before you guys go up there. And Reed's just being a dick. He's like, well, if they start doing testing, then I might never get to go. So we're just going to steal it and go on ourselves. Like, maybe you should wait. There wouldn't have been a cosmic ray storm.
Yeah.
It would have been smart.
He didn't anticipate the cosmic ray storm. I like how Bogdanov, I like how his art, in this flashback scene, which is, I guess, I've never read Fantastic Four issue 1. I'm guessing these are the events of Fantastic Four issue 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I like how he altered his style a bit to make it more like Kirby-esque slightly.
Yeah, like the Thing definitely looks very old school there.
Yep.
Ben Grimm there. Yep.
So yeah, basically
they're going to break in like him and his pilot friend, Ben Grimm, and, Sue Storm and Johnny. They're just like, I don't know, they're young and they're stupid, so they're going to come with anyway.
Yeah, they just wanted to come.
Yeah. My fiancée, Sue Storm, and her kid brother, Johnny, insist on accompanying us as well.
We thought we could have sex in space and join the 50,000 mile club. We thought it would be great.
I don't know why she brought her brother to watch, but that's Sue for you.
Yeah, so now we come back to the X-Men mansion, and they're still, or more McTaggart's place, and they're still yelling. Not yelling, but Dazzler's very upset. She's like, we can't do this. We can't do this. And the X-Men are like, hey, we got to. Shadowcat's going to be dead, What are we going to do? It's our only chance. Reed Richards could have saved the day, but he's a big jerk. So now we cut back to the Fantastic Four, and
they finished the origin where we got powers, and then we decided we're going to be the Fantastic Four, and Fantastic Four are born. But then there's another section that reads like he's hesitant to read. Here we go. It says, "We Fantastic Foursome will play that role. The genetic structure of myself, Ben, Susan, and Johnny are such that when combined with a precise dose of cosmic rays, all of us will manifest extraordinary physical abilities. To that end, I have shaped the hull of my spacecraft to capture and focus the specific radiation required for our transformation." So he's saying that he, designed the spaceship to specifically capture these cosmic rays and mutate them just so that they could become superheroes and protect the Earth.
I think this is like a genius plot idea.
Yeah.
And I think this is great.
It really is. Now, I don't know how you would ever repair the Fantastic Four if that was true.
This is fascinating here. Now, how it gets executed from here on out is a little questionable. But right here, the general seed of the idea, Reed Richards lied to his friends and loved ones because he wanted to use them as little experimental guinea pigs in his grandmaster scheme to intentionally give them superpowers at the
Yep.
risk of their own lives, that is fascinating.
That would make him, yes, even bigger monster than a guy who just won't save an intangible girl and likes kicking dirt in the eyes of those who care about her.
It gives his character a whole lot more depth. And it's like, holy hell, what are we dealing with here with Reed Richards? So this idea is genius. Good on you, Chris Claremont. Great idea.
It makes those covers where he's dressed like Dr. Doom make a lot more sense. You're like, oh shit, this guy is kind of dark.
So, but Reed's like, Ben, you don't believe this, do you? He's saying, this diary, this is is lies. I didn't write this. Like, and Ben's like, hey, this all makes sense. How are you so smart that you couldn't figure out that there's going to be cosmic rays in space?
Yeah.
Like,
you're smart enough to design this spaceship and do all these things, but you couldn't figure that out.
This makes a lot more sense. You were planning this all along. So he's pissed. He grabs his trench coat and he leaves. And then all the She-Hulk leaves. She-Hulk's just along for the ride. She doesn't, she's just trying to act like
she didn't get her powers from those rays. She don't really care. She's like, oh, this gives me a chance to get out of the meeting. All right, I don't have to listen to Reed talk. Yeah. Cool.
Then Johnny Storm leaves, so it's just Reed and Sue, and he says, and you, Sue?
Johnny Storm's going to see Alicia, Ben's girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what a dick move that was too by Johnny Storm.
I don't know how they ever got over that one. Like, I understand why he forgave Alicia because it wasn't really her, it was a Skrull, but Johnny Storm fully thought that was really Alicia and had no problem banging her.
So he says, what about you? So you started this. Will you go or stay? And now we cut back to the X-Men.
Yeah. Good cliffhanger to end on there.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four side.
So we get Wolverine poking the fire there, keeping the fire going, and Storm's in the background sitting in a chair, arm in a sling. She says, I'm making this decision for myself alone. It is in no way binding on the rest of you. I know the risks, but Kitty is very dear to me. I would bargain with the devil himself to save her, and I shall. And Wolverine says, not alone, you won't. You're in, darling. So am I. So he stands next to Storm, and then Rogue says, me too, boss. And Betsy Braddock's like, I believe I speak for all of us who are new arrivals to the X-Men. We stand with you, Storm, to the end. Well, I don't know if you speak
about
Dazzler. Yeah, Dazzler seems... I don't know.
She didn't seem too enthusiastic now.
But yeah, we get a good shot of them, Storm, in the foreground, and them all behind her, supporting her. By the Soul's Darkest Light is next issue. So there it is. Yeah, issue 2. All right, so just this issue... Again, it's written by Chris Claremont. We all are familiar with Chris Claremont.
Absolutely.
Well, what did you think of the writing here?
Honestly, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it held up pretty well. Very compelling. The whole Reed Richards thing was great. I like the juxtaposing the two groups and their meetings at the end. That was awesome. The fight, obviously the whole conceit of it where Reed Richards came there for no reason doesn't make sense, but
yeah, that's a big problem.
Some ass.
I guess the way they frame it is Reed, she found the diary or the journal. Sue found the journal in issue 1, and seeing the journal, he thought that journal was lost. He thought it was lost years ago. He didn't have it anymore. So seeing that reminded him of that first fateful space trip, and the mistake he made that turned them into the Fantastic Four. So in his mind, it brought back all his insecurities and self-doubts. Like, I screwed up that time. What if I screw up now and I kill Kitty Pryde?
Yeah. Although, I mean, come on,
yeah,
she's gonna die either way, yes. So you might as well try something.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big problem this has. Is you're Reed Richards, you're a hero. You should still do the right thing here,
Maybe also call Tony Stark if you want. Get a second opinion.
Get everybody involved here. But so that's the big problem this has. Is that.
But I do appreciate the fact that they took what could have just been, one issue thing where they take Kitty to the Fantastic Four and he's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll definitely help you. And then he does, and then that's it. And they made it into a pretty compelling, 4-issue limited series here with a good idea behind it, for the Fantastic Four and, some actual stakes and some drama.
Now, we don't see this as much in this issue, but I did read 3 and 4. Did you read those?
I did look through them again, yeah.
Yeah, now the big problem after this
No.
is Reed Richards there's literally parts where he's like, did I write that journal?
Yeah.
Did I write that? Come on.
How do you not know?
The whole, that's the other big problem here. I think the only way this story legitimately works, is if it's true. If that was his journal, and he did, and like Reed is this son of a bitch bastard who actually did this to his friends and family. Then you got a story, and then you got something going on. But the fact that you can't have him wondering, did I actually write this? Of course he would know if he wrote it or not. Of course he would know if he designed the rocket to do it on purpose or if it was an accident. Of course he would know that. So don't even do that. That's stupid. Also,
if you're writing it in a journal, it's more than like a subconscious desire or something at that point. That's pure premeditation.
Also, there's a part at the end of the series, because it turns out, of course, the diaries, the journal's a forgery, and like in issue 4, it finally dawns on Sue Storm, who could have planted that diary? Who could be so? I bet it was Dr. Doom. No shit. Like that should have been the very first thing you thought of. Yep. Like, oh, here's a forged
guy
diary.
Who does everything we were involved with.
That makes Reed Richards look like a jerk. I bet Victor did this. You know, good old Victor. He's thinking, yeah, that's probably what he did. So they just throw it in the shelf then. I mean, the fact that they all bought into it was also kind of weird. Like I said, I think the only way this works is if it's true. Because
well, I mean, I do like the fact that it does point to the fact that the Fantastic Four, no matter how much of a family they are, they do kind of buy that Reed is kind of...
I know! Like, that was shocking. Like, they all just buy this. Like, he says, you don't believe these lies, do you? And they're like, yeah, we believe them. Because it's ink on a piece of paper. We believe it.
Well, that is kind of his MO, though. Like, he is kind of so focused on the science that he often forgets about the human element. So it would kind of make sense. I could see them believing it.
But then Sue, she gets over it finally because she sees Reed playing with Franklin.
Yeah. Making the little balloon animals with his crazy hands.
Stretchy fingers. And she's like, oh, wait, yeah, I do remember how those fingers can stretch. So, you know what, Reed?
For everyone else. So.
All forgiven. All is forgiven. But yeah, I thought like she got over things a little too quick. And then everyone else just comes back like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. We're good.
Yeah, that's weird. That was an odd choice. I can see why they had to resolve this, like in this, and not have it spill into the main book. But yeah, that's weird. They got over it very quickly.
There wasn't even like a paragraph or an explanation. Like, you know what, we thought about it. No, we don't believe that. We believe that's a fake journal.
Yeah, they're like, we believe it, but we forgive you now.
Yeah, they just show up and like, oh, hey, everything's back. We're cool. It's like, all right. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
very sure.
And then, of course, spoiler alert, at the end they save Kitty Pryde.
Yep.
Save Kitty Pryde.
It's kind of a joint effort between Mr. Fantastic and Dr. Doom.
Yeah, which is a little weird. Because Doom, again, they don't spell this out, but Doom apparently created this forged journal and just planted it, hoping that one day it would be discovered. Yeah. Like it's just a big coincidence that they happen to find it just as all this is going on. So that's weird as well.
But then it worked in his favor because he was hoping that Reed Richards would have Psylocke read his mind to see if it was true. And like somehow if they had done that, then he would have lost all confidence and would never be able to be a leader again because he doubted himself.
Which, I don't know, that was weird as well.
Yeah, that's some weird specious logic right there.
Because he's been doubting himself this whole time, so...
Yeah, right.
I mean, whatever. But yeah, it turns out that Doom, he's about to go through to heal Kitty Pryde. Well, Kitty almost commits suicide. Because everyone is still fighting amongst each other, and she doesn't want them to sell their souls to Doom. So she walks out. She gets to the point where she can phase out of that little test tube thing, and she walks out onto a ledge at Doom's castle, and she's just going to let her body dissolve into the sunset or whatever, just like, go away, dissipate throughout the air. And little Franklin Richards, in his astral form, so people can see his astral form?
Yeah. I guess sometimes anyway.
Yeah, because it seemed like sometimes they couldn't.
Yeah.
But then here,
Maybe because
good.
she's out of phase with reality. She's maybe in the astral plane.
But then everyone else who came in saw Franklin there as well, because Wolverine's like,
okay.
how did the Richards kid get here, or whatever, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of weird shit in this series. You just gotta buy into
I mean,
it.
Franklin Richards is like an Omega level mutant. Like he can pretty much warp reality and stuff like that. So I guess he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's crying. He's trying to get her attention. And Lockheed's there, and it's not until then that Kitty decides not to kill herself. You know. So then she goes back in the tube. She goes back in the tube, and Franklin's there, and everyone's all happy. But then Doom, he's about to save her, but Reed says, "No, don't, Doom. You're going to make a mistake. There's a miscalculation or something."
Just like in college. Yep.
That's right. Hey, here's the other big thing. Doom heals Storm's arm in issue 3 because she has terrible skin burns over him. He heals her arm, you know?
Oh, nice.
So this begs the question, why didn't he heal his own face?
That is a very good question. Yep. I mean, yeah, you should definitely be able to do that. He's like a powerful sorcerer and scientist. Like, if one of those two can't fix your face, I don't know.
But like he spells out how he's just going to regenerate her healing and like the skin will mend itself and she's perfectly good as new. Good old arm. So it's like, well, why are you still wearing that mask? You know, why are you still?
I think he just likes it, probably.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
like,
so
there have been versions where he takes it off, and there's like one minor, tiny thing, and that's why.
Them deals.
Yeah.
Because like in Secret Wars, he takes the mask off and he healed himself. You know.
Yeah.
But so anyway, all right. So that's that. What else was I going to say about this story? I don't know. This issue I thought was written pretty well, only a couple slip ups. But overall, if you take a big picture overall view of this story, there's some huge holes in it. You know?
Yeah, there's definitely, I can see where there's holes, but at the same time, it's interesting and it's compelling, so I can't fault it too much.
I agree. The whole thing about whether we should trust Doom, whether we should make the deal with Doom, that was great. You know, all the stuff with the X-Men, they're debating it, that was great.
Although I don't know what they, let's say you make the deal with Doom and then he's like, go kill the Avengers. How about they say like, no, we're just not going to. What are you going to do now? You already saved Kitty.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, he could ask for any favor he wants. Like, I think they were thinking, he's going to ask us to help him move or we're going to have to drive him to the airport or something, one of them deals, you know?
He's going to want rides in the Blackbird all the time.
So we can't be doing that. That's terrible. Anything else about the story itself you would like to mention?
No, I think we covered it all. I quite like this team. We didn't get to see a lot of the newer members in this one other than Dazzler's, arguments, but I did like this era for the team.
Yeah, this was, probably not, it's questionable because I'm trying to think what the best era of X-Men is or was.
Oh.
I liked the team right up into the Mutant Massacre, like with Colossus and Nightcrawler and everybody. But then this team that came in after was pretty cool too. But probably my favorite is Storm, No Power Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Kitty Pryde, Rogue. That's a good team.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's a team I like.
Rachel Summers, I think, was there at that time.
Yeah, big fan of Rachel Summers as well. All right, so there it is. Now the art, John Bogdanove. I think I got that right. Again, this is John Jon, no H. So right away, that's a little suspicious, if you ask me.
A little sketch.
John Bogdanove. He was born in 1958 in Albany, New York. He attended the School of Visual Arts, which it seems like a lot of these artists did that. When we go through the history, at least at that time, artists coming up went to the School of Visual Arts in New York City. His first work with Marvel was Alpha Flight issue 32, March 1986.
Okay, so not too long before this.
Yeah, and he did such a good job with that, apparently. They said, hey, you know what? We want you to be the regular Power Pack artist, because he came in on Power Pack issue 22. That was May of 86. That was 2 months later. He's the regular artist of Power Pack. And he did 19 issues between issues 22 and 54. So, yeah,
That
good
did
little.
not do that Typhoid Mary one we did.
Yeah, he did not. He did not. But then in 1988, he did the Exterminators limited series.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to be doing that at some point.
Oh, really? Issues 1 through 4. I also had that when I was a kid. Tell the people who the Exterminators were.
The Exterminators were basically the kids that had been saved by X Factor. So like Boom Boom, Richter, Rusty, Skids, Leech, and Artie. I think there was also like some Asian kid in a wheelchair, like a techno wheelchair that they also picked up in there.
I don't remember him.
Yeah, I think he was just in those issues. Like, I don't think he had been an existing character before then.
I mean, it wasn't Wheels from Wolfpack, right? He wasn't Asian.
No, different wheelchair kid.
Yeah.
They were trying to meet their quota, apparently, there in the late 80s.
John Bogdanove also did X Factor, issues 58, 60, 61, 62, annuals 4 and 5 in 1989 to 1991. And then he moved to DC. And this is where he became famous, at DC. Because he drew Superman Man of Steel in 1991 from issue 1, and his final issue was 85 in 1999. So like an 8-year run. He did all those issues except for 8. So that's quite the run.
Ooh.
77 issues over 8 years.
So he's probably doing some of that stupid electric Superman where he was all blue and black.
Well, interesting you bring that up, because he was one of the many architects of the Death of Superman storyline.
Ah, nice. And
he was working with Louise Simonson on that.
Hey.
And there's several other people involved as well, but he was one of the people.
Yeah.
And then in Adventures of Superman issue 500, June of 93, he and Simonson introduced their character Steel, who then got his own title in February of 94. If you remember Steel, he was basically made of steel. He was just a steel guy, right?
Yeah. I think his name was John Henry Irons.
I think so. Something like that. And Shaquille O'Neal played him in a movie, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also one of the many artists who contributed to the 1996 Superman The Wedding album issue.
Ooh.
He likes Superman so much. He has a son named Kal-El.
What?
Yeah, he named his son Kal-El.
Wow. Well, I guess he's John Kent, I guess. He should change his last name.
I am getting a little late in life, to have kids, but if I ever did have a kid, Shockma.
Shockmadell. I like it. Rolls right off the tongue.
All right. But what'd you think of John? Before that, any other experience with John Bogdanove?
Judging by that list, probably not much. I think I've read those X Factor issues, so probably those. But no, I guess not terrible amounts of experience, but I liked it.
I was actually surprised that he didn't do more at Marvel. Like, that was pretty much everything that we highlighted at Marvel. That's basically what he did. A couple other one-shot deals or whatever. But he had a pretty extensive run there in DC. He did other stuff. But, I was kind of surprised to find out that's all he did at Marvel. Because I think I pretty much read everything he did at Marvel. I didn't read the whole Power Pack or anything. But.
No. Yeah, I may have read an Alpha Flight somewhere along the line that he did, possibly, but.
Yeah, and of course he did all 4 issues of this limited series. I will say the art in this issue I thought it was very strong. It was solid.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple weird panels, like when Rogue was kind of flying at the thing.
Yeah.
That was weird. But, but overall, I thought it was quite good.
Yeah. I think issue 4, like the longer the series went, I thought it got weaker, the art.
Ooh.
Like a little looser and sketchier, kind of like not as tight.
Yeah, a little rushed.
Yeah. But
Sue Storm looks really good in most panels here. Like gave her some cool looking hair.
Blew her clothes off.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like the art here. No complaints. The stuff like Reed getting kicked in the face and thrown into a wall and everything, that's all great stuff.
All the bruising that we talked about.
that big
splash page of Dr. Doom.
Yes, that's exactly what I was just going to say. Yeah. The big Dr. Doom. Also the opening splash page of Wolverine and Reed. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff here. I liked how he draws Wolverine because he kind of exaggerates his claws, but he doesn't exaggerate the winged mask deal on his head. He keeps them pretty small.
Keeps it tight, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like the art. No real complaints here. So 1 out of 10, Jake, what do you give, Fantastic Four and X-Men issue 2, 1987?
You know what? I still find this highly enjoyable, so I'm going to give it an 8. It's got its flaws, but it's fun. It's a good read.
Yeah, I'm also an 8 as well. I was really almost going to give this specific issue a 9 because it's really what you want. It's a great premise, great moral dilemma with your heroes and everything. It's just a couple little minor things, and if I would have probably just read this issue, I probably would have given it the 9. But when I think the series does fall off in 3 and 4, it gets weaker.
Yeah, that's a shame, but it's still it's Chris Claremont in his golden era, so he really can't.
It is such a good idea. The whole diary thing.
That it hadn't been done before.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Just the execution could have been stronger. So
yeah.
All right. So there is. Now, before the show, we were chatting, and I was debating what issue to pick. And I said, because we like to tie things in, and I said, well, we talk about Kitty Pryde and Wolverine in this issue. So I almost picked Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, the limited series, 6-issue limited series. Which
was written gone with that one. I fucked up.
It's written by Chris Claremont, and Al Milgrom is the artist there. And I said, you know what should we do, Jen? Should I tie it into what we did or maybe do something completely different? And you said, let's do something completely different. So I did not tell you my pick. But earlier in this very issue, you said you picked Fantastic Four X-Men because our previous issue had like a bunch of superheroes kind of working together or whatever. Mm-hmm. I can't even remember what that previous issue was. What was it?
That was that Marvel Team Up annual.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Daredevil and Heinrich von Schnippel.
Moon Knight. Yeah.
So then this actually ties into what you tied into because there's a bunch of heroes working together in this issue in a way, kind of, sort of. We're going to go from 1985, Secret Wars 2.
Ooh.
Issue 2. Secret Wars 2, issue 2. We've never done Secret Wars 2 on this show.
That is true. Yeah, I remember you did the first one with Brandon, but never did Secret Wars 2.
Yeah, and Al Milgrom is the artist. Did Jim Shooter write this? I can't even remember. Did Shooter?
Probably. He was the main guy behind that one.
I can't remember. We'll figure it out.
Actually, I have the Secret Wars 2 omnibus here.
Oh.
I'll have to put this out. I never did finish reading this, so this will be good.
I don't think many people did. I don't think I had every issue of Secret Wars 2, but I had 6 issues of the first Secret Wars because they came in packs of 3 at like Children's Palace, this toy store. They sold them in packs of 3, and I bought 2 of them. But I probably had a good 10 of these issues, if not all 12, or I think it was a 9-issue. This was a 9-issue limited series, so I probably had a good 6, 7 of them at least. But
it's pretty good.
Well,
there.
Yeah, I know. I probably had them all. Who knows? But
Secret Wars 2, I know, is not well thought of.
No, not really.
No.
Because
quite different from the first one. The first one has a very simple premise.
The first one's great.
Yeah.
The second one, not so much. But we'll get into it next week. But one highlight of this issue, I believe this is the issue where Spider-Man has to tell the Beyonder how to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yes.
So,
perfect. Oh, you got to tune in for that one.
Something to look forward to. All right. So that's it for this week. Next week, Secret Wars 2, issue 2. Also, of course, you can hear us on Spotify and Apple and all that other nonsense. And the YouTube videos are back. And we actually got a comment on a YouTube video.
Ooh.
How about that?
Is it somebody we know?
No. Complete stranger.
Wow. Rando. All right.
So thank you for listening to the big YouTube show. And until next week, don't get any jank on you.